Hey everybody, welcome back to Premium Picks. Today we are going to break down the full card for UFC Fight Night, Michel Pereira versus Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. Before we do, I know I always say sorry and I sound like a broken record. I shattered my phone right before we were recording last video. It was the new iPhone 16. They're backed up everywhere. Couldn't get a new one. I went 6 days without a phone. Fucking worst time of my life. Sad that I rely on it that much, but I do. But I got a new one. We're ready to rock. We're back at it. And we're going to promise some more content now. All our coaching obligations is done with sports. So we're going to try to get a couple days a week now. Let's get into this card. First fight of the night. We have got Rebellis Despaigne versus Austin Lane. Simply put, if Rebellis can keep this standing, he is going to knock him out, and probably very quickly. This guy has a ton of first-round knockouts, often in less than 30 seconds. And Austin Lane is going to try and do nothing but spam takedowns. Obviously, Waldo Costa was able to do that last fight and gave Rebellis his first loss. So can Austin Lane replicate that? Maybe. But the funny thing about that is Waldo has been fighting decent, good competition or whatever, and he couldn't finish him on the ground. So for someone who got taken down that many times or whatever, he still didn't get finished. So Austin Lane's going to have to be able to do it for 3 rounds if he's going to replicate that. Like, I don't think Austin Lane is going to finish this guy. So Lane has to be perfect for 3 rounds. He probably isn't. He probably gets knocked out brutally again, like he has been doing, and he probably gets cut. And I think that's what everybody wants to see here. Nobody wants to see a blanket win this fight. So give me Rebellis by knockout. It wouldn't shock me if he does get taken down and blanketed, but I want to see a quick knockout. What do you want to see? What do you think?
I don't think he has the chin to hold up. I also don't think he has the wrestling and control on the ground to hold up. And for all that control that Waldo had last time and all that stuff he did to Rebellis actually, the cardio didn't even look that bad in the third round, to be quite honest with you. Everyone was wondering what happens if it gets past the first round. He didn't look tired. He didn't fight tired. He just didn't have a ground game to replicate what Waldo was putting up. So Austin Lane, his last fight was with that Janota Diaz kid, right? And he took him down in the first round. Arguably, may have won that first round. It was pretty damn close. But what happened in the second round? He couldn't replicate the first round because Austin Lane himself, his gas tank is nothing to write home about. Let's be honest here. And what did he get? He got knocked out by a kickboxer who I don't think is as good as Rebellis Spain is. And I think that happens here. I think Rebellis odds are wide at minus 400. I think they're warranted though in this case. I think he's the better fighter. And honestly, it was the gas tank that I really had questions about, and they were sort of answered. Waldo is a better fighter than Despain is at this point in their career, so he showed it. He showed his experience. Despain will get over that. I think this is a get right fight for him.
All right. Next for the night, we got Elise Ardelean 9-6 versus Melissa Martinez 7-1. This is a tricky fight to call. The lines actually kind of flip flopped. At one point, Ardelean was the favorite, and then Martinez, I think, is a slight favorite right now. Kind of keeps going back and forth. Hard to be confident on either side. I think Ardelean is probably going to look to use the grappling here. It's probably going to be sloppy. It's probably going to look pretty low level. I mean, this could look like the Jocelyn Edwards fight we're about to talk to in a little bit. No confidence. It's crazy that I'm going to pick the 9-6 girl to beat the 7-1 girl. I think the pick is that it probably goes the distance, and that's probably a sloppy low level fight. Um, Give me Ardelean, but no confidence. Would not be betting it. What do you think?
Arlene just she fought what, Shauna Bannon in her first fight? She looked like she didn't get to the exchanges first, right? Like she was a little behind on the exchanges. Grappling looked okay, wrestling looked okay. Um Ground and pound looked good. My problem is really with Melissa Martinez. Like she got out grappled by Elise Reed. Like Elise Reed, her kryptonite is grappling. And she got out grappled by Elise Reed. We're about to talk to you about in a little bit. And yeah, so that's I think that's a worse look than being short to the exchanges on Arlene's part, right? So for the plus 110 odds you're getting on Ardelean, I think it's a dog or pass here. I got no confidence in Melissa Martinez to be out grappled by Elise Reed. It's like An absolute bad look, man. Like, and you can't be like, oh well, her wrestling's pretty good, but it's not. It really isn't, right? And Ardelean showed that, she's at least competent in the grappling business here. So I think she's tougher too, right? So sloppy striking, grappling edge to Ardelean.
All right. And then we got our second women's fight in a row of three in a row right now, which looks crazy on this card. We got Jessica Penne, 14-7 versus Elise Reed, which you were just talking about, 7-4. Jessica is an older fighter who is a decent grappler if she can get on top of you on the ground. I don't think that playing bottom game, ground game, guard game shit's gonna work. I think Reed can beat her up here. I think Reed, I don't want to say can knock her out. Actually, probably not. But I think Reed can beat her up. If she can keep it standing, she's going to beat her up. And I think I could even see Jessica pulling guard and just laying there and killing the clock and surviving. I don't think she's going to submit her. I don't think she taps her, and if she doesn't tap her, I don't think she wins. So give me Reed by decision. Yeah, I don't think there's going to be a knockout. What do you think here?
Okay, so striking is on Reed. I'll give her the striking edge. I'll give her the power edge. She really stinks at grappling though, but Penny's not the best wrestler, so this is the issue. There lies in the issue because Reed's been taken down in her last three fights. Lupi took her down like 5 times, I think it was, and then she got taken down in that Jinyu Frey fight, and she got taken down by Luma. So those are pretty decent, at least Luma with her friggin' judo, and then Lupi with her wrestling. What does Penne really have? Her takedown accuracy is around the 30% mark, which is gross, and no, I don't trust Reed's IQ. I think this is a whole pass altogether. I mean, but I'm gonna pick a side for the show here. I'm gonna pick Elise Reed, but I can't be so confident that she's not gonna do something dumb and try to take down Jessica Penne and even bottom guard. I'm scared with Elise Reed on the ground. Penne's a savvy vet, man. If this thing does get to, you can remember that fight with Penne a few fights back with Lupi and how Lupi was dumb and took her down and got controlled on the ground once it got there, right? So like that's on the cards here, right? So I wouldn't be confident in Elise Reed. I'm gonna pick Elise Reed, but shit, I see a path to victory for Penne.
All right, and third women's fight in a row. We got Jocelyn Edwards, 13-6, the long rangy striker with very suspect takedown defense, and she's taking on Tamaris Vidal, 7-3, the Brazilian who will be looking to take her down and hold her down there, beat her up a little bit. I don't think she'll tap her out. I got Jocelyn Edwards. I didn't love that she's minus 250, but I think this is a typical fight that she wins. I think she just kind of uses that long rangey striking, beats her to the punch. She's certainly not no dangerous fighter, but I think she's going to be a step ahead. And yes, she probably will get taken down at some point, but I don't think she's getting finished on the ground, and I don't think she's going to get held down for 3 rounds. So even if she loses one by being held down a little bit too much, I just expect her to outpoint her. Give me Jocelyn Edwards by decision. What do you think?
Jocelyn Edwards, it's a tale of two Jocelyn Edwardses, right? So she can take. She's shown that she's able to take girls down. She's been taken down a ton by like an Eileen Perez and controlled for 3 rounds. Vidal's got the finishing equity, I'll say that much. Jocelyn does get hit. In the first round, I think Vidal's live, but you see her slow down as the fight goes on. And goddamn, she doesn't really have any good wrestling. She doesn't have good takedowns. She doesn't have good judo. She's I think she's sporting a 0% takedown accuracy in the UFC, to be quite honest with you. So I mean, this is like the tale of the same thing. Like it's a Penne fight. I see a path to victory for Vidal, but I don't think she can get it into her wheelhouse. And I think it's just going to be a pitter patter. Jocelyn Edwards range strike to win. And again, though, Jocelyn Edwards, if she tries to take down Vidal, I think it's a bad move, right? So you might as well keep her on the feet. Vidal's striking is quite sloppy, and Jocelyn has better technical striking, but she packs the power of like a Powerpuff Girl in those arms. So, like, honestly, this one here's a pass too, man. Odds are too damn wide.
But I think the majority of these fights are passed. There's only two fights that I'm like Gonna bet for sure. The other ones, I don't know.
It's like last week. I told you the only thing I bet was Brandon Royval, and I said that from the beginning of the week. I said I'm going to bet Brandon Royval, and I did.
Next fight of the night, Brad Katona, 14-3, taking on Jin Matsumoto, 15-0. Katona, someone who kind of wins by being stronger point fighter. I find him incredibly boring. And hey, I'm Canadian. I don't like this guy. Like honestly, I find him extremely boring. He's a point fighter. He's a strong guy. He marches forward, and I guess he just kind of out points you on the feet. He can wrestle a little bit. I don't know. I mean, he's a strong athlete. He's pretty good at everything. Dangerous at nowhere. He's not dangerous anywhere. He's just a strong, good, athletic guy. Matsumoto, I think, is better everywhere. I think he's the way more skilled fighter. I think he won't be walked down by Brad Katona the way Brad usually tries to do to people. I think Matsumoto will meet him in the middle, or he'll be the one coming forward. I just think he's the better fighter, period. Katona fights generally always go the distance, usually, and they're usually pretty close. He's actually lost a couple that I thought he won, but I'm always kind of happy when he loses just because I don't like rewarding his style. But give me Matsumoto. And if Katona decisions him, fuck, like I guess he did it again. But I don't know. Give me Matsumoto by being the better fighter, probably everywhere. What do you think?
I don't know, but everywhere, in my opinion, like so that Dan Argueta fight, I think he was losing until he won, and then that fight against Kels, and the fight that he had at the Dana White Contender Series, I thought was very close, right? By the numbers, it was 100 to 99 in strikes, and he got taken down twice. So he fights close, and my issue here is like Matsumoto is a grappling wizard, right? So he wants to fight on the ground, he wants to take guys down, he wants to control them. I'm not too completely sure that he could do this here, but Katona has been taken down in previous fights. But on the feet, I think Katona is the more busier fighter. I think he's also going to throw the more volume. Honestly, I think it's like the minute winner here is Katona, and the moment winner might be Matsumoto. And if this does go to a decision, I do think Katona has quite a chance. And I don't like his style, but I think in this sense, I think he's going to be a busier fighter. He's got the better boxing. I think he can be taken down because I remember him being taken down a few times in his career. So like, and it's funny that he does get taken down sometimes, but but it is to like a Marab that's doing this kind of shit, right? So, you know, oh man, I really like Katona in this spot. Plus 200, Masamoto. I rewatched that Argetta fight, and he really didn't have a good first round, man. And Argetta kind of slows down as the fights go on, and so I'm leaning odd play here on Katona at plus 200, and I'm waiting for that decision line because he's obviously not going to tap or do anything, knock this guy out. But I do think he can win a striking battle if he can keep this on the feet.
Maybe a prop to watch out for. Props aren't out yet, and if that decision line's at plus 600 or more, maybe it's worth a stab.
I don't know if I think it's plus 600 because I think that's his like win condition. So they'll probably, dude, if I can get it at plus 400 or anything close to that, fuck yeah, sign me up.
All right, next fight of the night, we got Mateusz Nicolau, 19-4-1 versus Asu Almabayev, 20-2. Nicolau coming off some brutal knockout losses. He's almost now, I guess, no beating around the bush here. People think he has a very suspect chin. He's very chinnable. He's very knockoutable, if that's not really a word, but but yeah, I mean that's kind of the book's out on this guy. Hit him hard on the chin, and you can put him out. Uh, Almabayev is. I've been waiting to fade this guy, to be honest. He just spams takedowns, 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 takedowns. So for me, even though everybody's lost complete faith in Nicolau, myself included, like I get it. I've been against him on his last couple losses, so I get it. This is actually a more favorable matchup for him because Almabayev is not some huge knockout puncher. He's not going to chin him standing up. So and that's usually how Nicolau loses, and he's not going to get knocked out on the feet here. Now, Almabayev probably still can probably take him down at will, but will he gas out? Probably not. Almabayev probably wins the fight, but I don't think he's finishing him. I don't think he has these hard power hands or whatever. So I think it's a bit closer than people might think based off of Nicolau's recent losses. So I just think that this is not as bad of a matchup for him. His chin probably can use this fighting a grappler instead for once. Give me Almabayev by decision. But I'm waiting to fade Almabayev myself. I don't think he's as good as people necessarily do. What do you think?
I don't know, man. This is a tough fight to call, to be quite honest with you. I mean, Nicolas has fought a couple grapplers in his 11 fight career in the UFC. Tim Elliott and who else was it? Tim Elliott. He fought and Matt Schnell, I guess you can call a grappler at the same time as well, right? So he does sport a healthy 93% takedown defense, right? And I know Almabayev has takedowns, but I really haven't seen anything else, like you said, from this guy, right? Now, Nicolau, this mother, he is so low volume sometimes that it pisses me off. And I know that, okay, so this is a winnable fight for Nicolau, right? I don't think his chin is going to come into question here. And if he can keep this on the feet again, like the Brad Katona fight, I think he can win. Just the odds are plus 162. I don't like him that much. But I do favor Nicolau in a striking match, right? Can he keep it standing up? All the stats say he can keep it standing up. The one person that took him down in his entire UFC tenure on both tenures is Tim Elliott one time. I don't know how good Almabayev wrestling is. It doesn't. It seems like it's good, but like the competition that he's up against, CJ Vergara, and who was the other guy? That last guy, he couldn't stop it. Couldn't stop him at all. Jose Johnson.
And he slows down, man.
Eh, yeah, but Jose Johnson never can't stop a takedown either. Vergara cannot stop a takedown either. And then who's the first guy he fought? He took him down a couple times. Ode Osborne, and he took him down. You know, Ode kind of like as the fight progresses, he slows down too. Nicolas Kryptonite is a hard puncher. I don't see it here. I think I'm leaning Nicolau. I think I'm leaning Nicolau on this because I favor him in a kickboxing match.
Yeah, no, I said too. I agree. This is a good matchup for him. Almabayev has some crazy good takedowns early, but he slows down. So he might have a good first round, but who knows after?
Maybe he survives the first round and takes the other two, right? Like I
Yeah,
can't see
yeah,
him getting 10-8'd.
yeah. All right, moving on to the main card. I actually like this fight. They're actually pitting a veteran against a veteran. Like this fight makes sense. You got Darren Elkins, 28-11, Daniel Pineda, 28-16. They're both old. They're both probably a loss away from retiring. This fight at least makes sense. The only reason I'm saying it makes sense is because there's a fight coming up that pisses me off. Chase Hooper and Clay Guida. Give me a fucking break. Chase, as much as I hate Chase Hooper, he's gonna kill Clay Guida, and the fight makes no sense. Just like when Frankie Edgar got pitted against some young, certain fights don't make sense. This is two old guys. I like it. It makes sense. Darren Elkins, very tough guy, good wrestler. Always bleeds. Expect him to bleed. Just a tough, gritty guy that I don't think will slow down. Daniel Pineda is probably the more dangerous guy. This guy can submit anybody in that first round, and he can crack for a bit. And then his cardio just goes right off the cliff. Like he just slows way down, gasses out hard, and then that's usually how he loses. I actually think he has a chance to win this fight. I think this fight's very 50-50. Again, Pineda, the dangerous guy. Elkins, if the fight goes long, he's probably going to take over. Um, it's funny. A lot of people think Elkins wins because he's the better wrestler. He'll be the guy on top. Pineda's a dangerous guy, though, man. He does have good subs. If Pineda can do it early, Elkins durable. Pick 'em odds. I get it. I think Pineda's been fighting the better guys, man, and he's had some good rounds. Fuck it, give me Pineda again. I don't think it's a fight. I don't think it's a bet, but it's a fight that I do like. I actually think it's going to be a pretty fun fight. What do you think?
Like Elkins, his takedowns happen as the fight progresses. Like in the first few couple of rounds, even the first round and a half, he's a dominant wrestler. And like, let's put it this way, that gas tank that Pineda we said falls off a cliff, he really hasn't fallen off a cliff in the last two fights. I mean, he's paced himself pretty good against Nathaniel Wood. He did lose the decision. He just didn't go after it as much as I thought he could. And then he lost that decision to
Caceres.
Bruce Leroy, right? and he took down Bruce Leroy 3 times, right? So the power edge is in Pineda. I find like not neither of them is a technical striker by any means. They're more of the brawling style. And my problem with Darren Elkins is that in those earlier rounds, he gets hit way too much and he takes way too much damage. Damage Elkins, right? But he takes a lot of damage. But man, I think all the finishing equity is on Pineda's side. And I actually think his wrestling, like he doesn't, aside from earlier in his career, no one's really dominated wrestling with him in the last few fights. Like so, it's like if Darren Elkins is going to come and try and spam takedowns, I don't think he's strong enough in the first couple rounds. He's got to work this guy until he gets a little bit tired, and then he can get the takedowns. I think in the first couple rounds or first round and a half, Pineda's going to outman him, outstrong him, outstrength him, and those aren't words either. Uh, like straight up, like I think he's going to man up on him, and yeah, man, I'm I'm fighting myself on Pineda too. I think Darren's a little bit more sloppy, and I don't think the wrestling edge is that huge. The grappling edge is definitely not that huge because I think Pineda probably is the better grappler, BJJ artist, to be quite honest with you. And the power's on his side, and yeah, man, Bruce Leroy and freaking Nathaniel Wood trumps fucking TJ Brown and whatever shit that Darren Elkins has been going up against. So yeah, man, I'm on Pineda too, and I feel strongly that Pineda can win this fight.
Pineda actually had a funny interview I watched today that he said, if I lose to Darren Elkins, I retire. He goes, I have no business fighting if I lose to Darren. He goes, I don't mean that he went out of his way because I think he knew it sounded douchey. He's
Yeah,
like, I do not mean that disrespectfully to him, but he's like, I'm 39, and if I can't beat Darren Elkins, this is it.
yeah, 100%, man.
All right, next fight of the night, we've got a late last minute replacement. We got Jake Hadley taking on Cameron Smotherman, who's replacing Brady Highstand. So I think Jake Hadley got pretty lucky here because I think he was about to get out muscled by Brady Highstand, potentially. I mean, his Kryptonite's wrestlers, that was his Kryptonite matchup, and now he's got somebody who probably going to look to strike with him, but Cameron's not the most durable guy either. So whatever. Honestly, it's probably a more pleasant fight to watch because Brady Highstand can be kind of smothering and boring, and he probably would have grinded it out. And this looks like a fight that Hadley should be finishing it, to be honest. I mean, a guy coming in this short notice, he's been tapped before, he's been knocked out before, he's stepping up. I mean, Hadley should be able to finish this fight. I'm not going to say I've seen a ton of Smotherman, but I have checked out a few things, and when he loses, he has been finished quite a bit. So I don't know. Give me Hadley, maybe submission, maybe a knockout. He's not really a phenomenal striker by any means. Maybe hits him on the chin and chokes him out. I don't know, but this is a fight Hadley should win. What do you think?
I didn't get to look at Smotherman as much as I wanted to. I didn't even realize the fight got changed until like just before like we did this. So honestly, this is a fight that Hadley should win based on those factors that you said. I looked at a little bit of Smotherman. He looks okay. But like, my problem with Jake Hadley is I trust him as far as I can like throw him. You know what I mean? Like how many times have I picked him the one time to finish on a big bet? And then every single time after that, I've picked guys against him. I took Charles Johnson against him by a decision. I just think his IQ and the fight IQ is kind of stupid, to be honest with you. He doesn't fight. He doesn't think in there anyway. This is a fight he should win, and he should win convincingly. But yeah, I'm not going to bet on him.
All right. Featured fight. This is actually the one of the fights that I will be betting on. We got Sumudaerji, 16-6, very exciting fighter. Uh, his fight with I think it was Matt Schnell was one of the most exciting fights I've ever seen in my life. But anyways, this guy prone to getting finished. Charles Johnson, 16-6. Oh, there you go. Dead even record. 16-6, 16-6. Charles Johnson on a heater. I think Charles Johnson can do whatever he wants here. I think he's going to be the way more durable guy on the feet. I mean, yes, Sumudaerji probably hits harder, but Charles Johnson has an iron chin. He's not getting knocked out. So even if Sumudaerji rocks him a couple times here and there, at some point, Charles Johnson's going to land his shot, and they're not going to be able to eat the shots the same way. And on top of that, Charles Johnson should be able to take him down at will if he wants to use the wrestling, which he can do. So either way, I really like Charles Johnson. I like the run that he's on. I feel like he's a confident pick here for me. I think he's minus 250, but it sounds right to me. Like I will be playing Charles Johnson. I think he wins the fight. What do you think?
I think he's going to be the busier fighter on the feet. I also think he is the faster fighter, as in like moving around the cage. I think he holds the grappling edge. I think he holds the wrestling edge. I think Charles Johnson by submission is not off the table either because Sumudaerji on the ground isn't so good. Tim Elliott subbed him by arm triangle. Matt Chanel subbed him by a triangle choke. He got subbed by armbar by Louis Smolka. So, fuck, man. When he gets finished, he gets subbed. I honestly like Charles Johnson by sub here. I was looking at it all week. Usually I take Charles Johnson by decision, but like he'd be a fool to stand with Sumudaerji for elongated periods of time because like that's how Sue wins fights, man. Is when you stand with him for elongated parts of time, right? You know what I mean? He packs a punch. He's a pretty good boxer. Um, that KO of Malcolm Gordon was pretty badass too, right? And for all intents and purposes, I thought he should rock Adeshayev. He should have rocked him too, but Sue throws low volume, and Charles doesn't throw low volume, right? So all the intangibles are on the Charles side, and if he wants to go at this like he's been fighting his last few fights, then I can't see him losing this. But also, if he gets him on the ground, he should finish him. So it's Charles Johnson. If you want to get a little bit cute with it, Charles Johnson by submission.
All right, co-main event of the night. We got Rob Font, 20-8, taking on Kyler Phillips, 12-2. I think the odds are a little bit wide for me, almost borderline disrespectful. Rob Font, good boxer, but clearly has one huge hole on him, and that is his takedown defense is terrible. So, I mean, Kyler Phillips might not even have to take him down. He's going to be the quicker guy, and he's going to use more weapons. I mean, Rob Font is pretty much all hands. I mean, that's pretty much his game. He takes a lot of damage, but yeah, he's a good boxer. He's got long reach on those arms. But Kyler Phillips faster, more versatile, more tools, and I think he can take him down at will if he needs to. So I do think Kyler Phillips wins the fight. There has been fights where Kyler Phillips gassed out hard. He's been in some really exciting fights where the pace was just insane. And then like every round was just like complete difference because he gassed, but he hasn't really done that lately. I think he should be able to cruise here. I think I don't think he's going to stand in front of Rob Font and get picked apart with jabs all night. I think he'll be in and out, mixing it up, and I think he'll secure the takedowns as well. What do you think?
I don't think he'll use the takedowns. When he uses his wrestling is the times when he kind of gasses at the end of the fights, right? So his last couple fights is he fought Pedro Munoz and he outvolumed him 114-52. He fought Ronnie Barcelos, he outvolumed him 72-46, but got taken down three times. That was a pretty close fight, to be honest with you. And then he outvolumed Marcelo Rojo and took him down three times, but finished him. So you can see in his last couple fights, he's not really been using the wrestling and pushing the wrestling very too hard. And I I can't see him pushing it too much on Rob Font because I think he might like in his head, I think that was the reason why he was gassing out, right? But anyways, the fight is plus 300 for Rob Font. Borderline disrespectful, to be quite honest with you. If they really think he's going to take him down and just hump him for 3 rounds, then fine. But I really don't think that's the case here. I think it's going to be a stand-up fight. Kyler's probably a little bit quicker, but you can't count Rob out. Remember against Adrian Yanez, right? Like everyone was like, "Oh yeah, Yanez is gonna knock him down, whatever," right? And Rob showed that he ain't no. If you're not gonna take him down, he's in that fight. So
That's why I think he will get taken down. You saw what Sandhagen did to him. Like I couldn't believe all the
maybe, but
takedowns.
like I think, but see that's the thing. I don't know if Kyler really fixed his cardio issues because he hasn't been using the wrestling as much as he has been in his earlier fights. Because against Song Rudang, he took down three times. Against Cameron Ellis, he was taken down twice. Against Rolian Pava, he took him down four times. Even Rojo took him down three. And then lately, and that was almost the last fight that he started to slow down on. So, and lately, he hasn't been pushing that wrestling as much. I think it has something to do with the fucking gas tank. I personally think it has something to do with the gas tank. And if he's not going to push that wrestling, This is more of like a maybe a minus 150 fucking plus 162 kind of fight, right? So at plus 300 odds, I'm gonna take a shot on fucking Rob Font, right? For 25 bucks, pay myself $100, and I won't even feel that bad if he loses because Kyler Phillips is a very good fighter. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that he has no chance to win this fight, but there's a complete odds play here, and I think that borderline disrespectful for a fight that I think is going to be much closer than those odds say.
Yeah, absolutely. Main event of the night, we got Michel Pereira, 31-11 versus Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, 12-2. I'm kind of surprised by the odds. Michel has looked phenomenal since moving to middleweight. He's got a bunch of finishes in a row. I mean, he wasn't a big finisher early on in his UFC career. He borderline gassed. He borderline fought stupid, the capoeira style. It was silly. It almost rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. I remember I kind of wanted him to get knocked out years and years ago. I didn't really love it, but he's grown on me. He's won me a lot of money. He hasn't gassed since going to middleweight. Sure, his fights haven't really gone long since going to middleweight, but bottom line is he hasn't done anything that suggests he's not ready for this. I mean, he's just looking better and better and better. And I've wanted to step up in competition for a long while. I've kind of wondered why they keep dragging him along. I've wanted him to get the big fight. Other than the Wonder Boy weight miss, he really hasn't got a big fight. And I think he was going to knock out Wonder Boy personally. I think we broke that fight down, and then it just never happened last minute.
Yeah.
So I got to roll with Michel Pereira here. I don't know if it'll go long enough for him to gas out and for Fluffy to get another last second choke or take over as the fight goes on. And of course, that's how Anthony Fluffy Hernandez wins. Obviously, he's a very tough guy, very good submission grappler. But he's always getting beat up until he finds that submission. And sure, doing that to Edmund Shabazian is one thing, but Shabazian gasses to everyone. So was it really that impressive? I don't know. I don't think so. I'm on the Michel side. At dog odds, I'm getting plus money on Michel Pereira. I think he wins the fight. I was hoping that his finishing line would be better, but there's almost no juice on it. It only gives you like an extra 20 points. So I think they kind of figure that's his win condition. His win condition is probably to finish him in the first 2 rounds. But either way, I don't. I like all the unders. I think the fight does not go the distance, obviously. But I'm on Michel Pereira. If you think he gasses or think he gets tapped, fine. But he hasn't done anything to suggest that he will. To me, I think he wins by knockout. What do you think?
How does Fluffy win fights? He outlasts people and then he starts to take them down, right? So Michel Pereira sports a 94% takedown defense. Who's the last person that took down Michel Pereira and kind of like, had his way with him? I don't know. I think the last fight I remember Michel Pereira losing was Tristan Connolly, to be honest with you. So, like, honestly, nobody takes down Michel Pereira. Michel Pereira doesn't get enough juice for his own ground game, his own wrestling, and his own grappling. No, nobody gives him enough credit for that. I think the striking, he's light years ahead of Fluffy in the striking. I think he's got the power edge.
Speed.
I think he has the speed edge, and I think he actually has the overall better, well-rounded set of tools to win this fight. So, like you said, unless he gasses out, which I know they haven't been going long, but let's go back to like the Ponzinibbio fight. He didn't really look super tired in that, and that went all the way back. And he didn't look too super tired or tired at all in that. And remember all these third rounds he was getting to beforehand, he was like barrel rolling. He against Nico Price, he had 92 strikes, 3 takedowns, and against Chaos Williams, he had 2 takedowns, and he wasn't gassing in those fights. And he was and this notorious gassing was really early on in his career, right? And this was when like the Diego Sanchez, remember that one? He
And it was a
gassed.
huge weight cut, massive
I
weight
know,
cut.
but like it was a Tristan Connolly fight that he really gassed, and you could see it in the Amadeus fight that he was slowing down a little bit. But that was the fight where you could really see him turn the corner because he finished him in the third round, and the third rounds he was going to third rounds, and everyone's like, "Oh, notorious gasser," but he wasn't gassing, and now he stepped up in weight. I think it's a better weight cut for him. And like I can't see him gassing him. We're just talking about the only way that I think Hernandez wins is if this guy gasses. All the other six ways to win this fight, Michel Pereira holds the advantage, right? Striking, he holds the advantage. Power, he holds the advantage. I think he has the speed advantage. I think they're both competent wrestlers, and I think Michelle can use the wrestling in reverse here. And fuck me if I think Michel Pereira is just as good of a grappler as Anthony Hernandez is, right? So I'm on with you, man. I was on Michel Pereira earlier this week. Same thing with Royval last week, and I hit those dogs. I hit that dog pretty hard. So yeah, man. Give me Pereira. Give me Pereira all day here. At least, from what I've seen, just like you said.
Absolutely. To me, it's the best value on the card. Dog odds on the guy. I think he wins the fight. So obviously, we like to obviously give you a couple bets each time. This card, I don't love many spots. My biggest play right now, and I think I'm actually going to go bigger on it, is Charles Johnson and Michel Pereira under 4.5 rounds. And you're getting like plus 260. Is it amazing? Plus 260? No, but I think it's good. I think Charles Johnson wins, and I think Pereira is winning under 4.5. And if you want more, go 3.5, go 2.5, because honestly, I don't think it's going to go long. I think this guy is a beast. And it wouldn't shock me if he starches him in round 1 or 2. Would not shock me. But under 4.5, and Charles Johnson. That's my play. I don't love a ton of spots on this card for betting, so I'm not going to force it. I'm not going to force things that don't need to be forced. Those are two spots that I like. Is there anything that you're seeing or talking to you here, or what?
I like Pereira to win straight up. I like Charles Johnson to win straight up. And I'll probably take a dog shot on Katona by decision and probably take a dog shot on Rob Font. Especially if I win that Katona bet by decision, I'll take a fucking thing on Rob Font. And at that point, I don't like anything earlier. But
Maybe
yeah,
Pineda,
man,
maybe.
I don't mind Pineda at minus 125 as well, right? So we'll see how the Katona fight goes, but my main plays are like, uh, I actually like Charles Johnson by submission if I can get plus 600, plus 700 on that or something like something crazy on that. I will do it because I missed out on that spot. I was bitching at you a couple weeks ago. Eileen Perez was like plus 1100 to tap out the other girl. Buddy, I can't believe like I knew she was gonna have so much ground control. How the fuck I did not hit that line? It's just a missed opportunity, and I'm not gonna miss an opportunity here for a guy that should be controlled by Charles Johnson all fight. A guy that's been his all three losses have been submissions. I don't see why I'm not gonna play at Charles Johnson by submission unless it's stupid like plus 250. Then I'm just gonna leave it alone.